All right. What is up, everybody? Finally back. Finally. Took a long time. Tell you the truth, I've been holding back on filming this or even doing anything on this channel until I decided what I wanted to do about this. But I molded it over and I felt like I needed to do this. Like I wanted to do this. But I didn't know if I would be able to or if, like, I don't know. But at the end of it all, I came to the conclusion that I'm gonna do it, no matter what anyone thinks about it, or um, I just felt like I needed to do this for me. Um, Not just that too, because I didn't feel like doing anything on the channel until I got over this, or just this, the whole decision of wanting to do this video or not. I was like, I'm just gonna do it, get it over with, get it done, put it out, feel better about it, feel better about the situation, feel better about myself, and then I could continue on with this channel because I don't want this channel to. I'm not gonna give up on this channel, and I really felt like I wanted to do this. So the whole reason why I've been gone for so long off the channel, my little brother died a month ago. He got admitted to the hospital in like a few days after Christmas, and then um we had to, like, they weren't straight up with us in the beginning, but basically he wasn't gonna make it, and he passed away a few weeks after, and we had his funeral a few weeks back in February. Um, and this is kind of like my goodbye to him. I actually visited him in the hospital while he was admitted there. I said my goodbyes there, but it felt kind of incomplete still. And then even at the funeral, like the funeral was cool. At least part of the funeral was cool. The beginning part I felt like was cool. Um, when everyone was sharing their stories and stuff. But then like we got into this whole, like, we obliged our parents because they wanted to do like the whole religious monk Buddhist thing, and I felt like, I don't know, something about it felt kind of strange, and I didn't like it. I don't know why. It just felt kind of like a little sus to me, you know? Like what does kneeling down and giving money to a monk has to do with anything about saying goodbye to my brother and passing him through to the other side, you know? Like, I don't know, something about that didn't sit with me right. Um but either way though, it was a pretty good funeral. It was nice seeing everybody, even though it was kind of like for the wrong situation, and like, you know, I just didn't like how, like, I would have liked to have seen everybody on different terms. I mean, like, there was a few people that were there that I was surprised to see, and um was like happy and excited to see, you know? Like, it was good to see everybody that was there. I just wish it was on different terms, and I wish that, I mean, and I wish my brother was there too to see them, but, like, I wish he was there alive to see them, because he would have been super happy just to see them there, just to even see some of them, you know? Like, some of those people he really, really liked. And some of those people played major, major, like, plays in the growing up of him. And, helping me raise him. They they played a big part, and that'll go into, like, later. I'll get into that later on, um, because that's kind of part of what I'm about to do with um, this episode. So basically, what I'm gonna do So I'm basically just gonna tell the story of me and my brother, like the story of how we grew up, where like how it went down, and how it all ended. Like it's this. This is basically it. Also, before I even continue, like, hey, check out the new, check out the new layout. This is how I'm gonna do everything now, from now on. But before I even continue with everything, let me just lay out how what's gonna happen with the channel and everything like that. I'm gonna I'm gonna try to film 2 episodes today. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do the latest episode of the podcast. Just so that it can continue, and I will be continuing to stream as well too. So who to everyone who um shows up for the stream and stuff, I will start streaming again pretty soon. I'm gonna try to do a continuous, like so that there's no time off again. But I also plan on doing Twitch too, so I'm gonna split the two. I'm gonna do a couple of days on YouTube and then a couple of days on Twitch, um, and then continue the podcast. So we have more episodes of the podcast coming out pretty soon. So look forward to that. So with that out of the way and everything like that, let's just get into the stories of me and my brother. Did I forget to say anything? I went through the whole I went through the whole funeral thing. I guess let's just begin with how I've been dealing with this. Like, it's been kind of weird. Like when it first went down, I would be okay for the most part, but then like the memories kept flooding in, and here's how my mind works. It's kind of like a rotating thing of images and thoughts, and I believe I have like an undiagnosed version of ADHD or something. Just because like I go through different thoughts every time. Like every second is just something different, right? But with that, because it's rotating every time, I could be cool with everything. But then as soon as I get to that part of the memory where it's like flooding back all the old times and everything with me and my brother and stuff like that, it would just hit hard, and I would just start crying like very messily out of nowhere. And it was kind of tough doing it at work and just trying to like hold it straight at work. I mean, I was doing okay because like I would just focus on work, and there was so much going on there that my brain was just keeping busy and just thinking about everything else. But then like I would take a break, and then when I take a break, I always take a break in my car anyway. So I just go to my car, and then that's when it would just come flooding back in, and then boom, I mean, if anyone's seen me sitting in my car while I was at work, you probably saw a very messy little Asian dude crying in his car, like. But that's just what it is, and that's what it was. That's how it happened. So I went through like a couple weeks of that. It's gotten much better after the funeral. I don't like I don't break down and cry anymore. But I don't know if I've come to the conclusion yet, or just the acceptance maybe. I mean, I know that he's dead, but my mind sometimes forgets that he's dead, because I still go through times when, like, because there's certain things that I like to kind of like I keep in my bank of memory, my memory bank. Like, say if I heard like a new Call of Duty is coming out, because the thing with that is that, because me and my brother, that's kind of where I got into Call of Duty. It's just with me and my brother. I remember buying him his first Xbox, and the first game. Well, that wasn't Call of Duty wasn't the first game, but it was the first game that we got that we kind of both fell in love with. Like we played that whole game through together. We spent countless of hours, me getting off of work, driving straight to his house and getting like a case of beers and just chilling and just playing through the whole campaign of Call of Duty. And ever since then, it's just been, that's kind of where I got my love of Call of Duty. And he would, every year that a new Call of Duty come out, we would talk about, oh, are we gonna get it? How was it? If we got it, and should I buy it and stuff like that. And then like, I he was already in the hospital, and like like we already pulled the plug, and he was going through his time of passing, and they announced that they were gonna have the new Call of Duty. And when I heard that, I mean, I knew that he was in there, but I still like stuck it in my memory bank, like, oh, new Call of Duty. Oh, dude, like, because we nowadays, like, we would see each other during holidays or certain people's birthdays and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, like, who's the next birthday or when's the next holiday? I can't wait to tell them about the new Call of Duty. And then, like, boom, like I'd be like, oh, wait, he's gone. It's been things like that. Like I'd forget that he's gone, and when I hear something that if me and him were both into, I would stick into my memory bank like I was gonna like tell him the next time I see him, but he's not. We're not ever gonna see each other again. So that's been a little rough, and this recording is gonna be a little rough. I don't know how far I'm gonna be able to get into it without breaking down. I'm gonna try my hardest. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm like already starting to kind of. But I'm gonna try to keep it straight because I want to get through the whole thing. I want to finish this and kind of get my own peace with it. And I'm pretty sure that I'll still forget that he's dead sometimes, and that when I hear certain things, I'll still stick it in my memory bank like I'm gonna tell him about it the next time I see him. But that's just how my brain works, I feed off of the things I see and I hold it in. I mean, I do the same thing like for my nephews and stuff like that. Like I don't see my nephews all the time, but when I see a certain thing or read a certain thing or hear a certain thing, I stick into my memory bank. Like the next time I see them, I'll talk to them about that certain whatever that I've came across. And this is gonna be a little tough. I get already like feel myself cracking a little bit. But like I said, I'm gonna try to hold it together. But yeah. So that's been my whole situation ever since this whole thing went down after my brother passed away. And this is kind of one of the first ones that kind of happened that hit me this hard because we were like we grew up together almost like hip at hip. We weren't the best of brothers at all times. We had our total full on punching drag out wars and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we were brothers and we knew that we had love for each other. I know for a fact I always have my little brother's back no matter what happened. I mean, I've protected him so many times and made sure that nothing's ever happened to him so many times. And I still remember the first day where he actually had my back, and I appreciated him for that. And in fact, I was surprised because I think one of the fights that we've had one time was me asking him why he never had my back, and I always had his back. But And so seeing him having my back at that point in time was like it it filled my heart up, and it showed that he did have love for me, you know. And I mean, it's not like I even questioned it, you know. We were brothers, like of course he loved me, and I always showed my love for him. We were like the way we grew up. Let's just get into the stories, I guess. I'm gonna try to go in chronological order as much as I can. I mean, I might go back and forth a little bit, but let's just start in the beginning. Um, he was the last member of our family to be born. In fact, he was the only member of our family to be born here in the United States. He had a leg up on us a little bit, right? Of course, being the youngest one, he was always spoiled. And these are gonna be some of the stuff that has been said at the funeral already, but I'm just gonna repeat it, regurgitate it. But yeah, he was the one to be spoiled. Um, he was the first one to have birthday parties. I never knew like what a birthday party was until we had a birthday party for him. Was I jealous? I mean, maybe a tiny bit, but in at those times I was so young that I don't even know what jealousy was really. Like didn't I don't care, you know? It was a party and I was just happy to be part of this party, right? You got free food, see all your friends and family and stuff. So like, hey, you know, it's a party. And you know, up until like you realize, oh, it was a birthday party. How come I've never had any birthday parties, or how come I'm never given any birthday parties and stuff like that? You know, so I mean, I made up for it later in life. I did my own, and just you know, it is what it is. But I always looked after him. Still, I mean, because I mean, even though I was the youngest, my sister and my little sister and my little brother was the youngest. So I kind of looked after both of them. I mean, at any time that I could try to make them laugh, I made them laugh. You know, not until he got a little older and a little disrespectful and stuff like that, I put him in check and everything like that. But that's what family do. That's what families do. We had a little scuffles here and there, but other than that, it would just all be, it would always be me and him hanging out. Even sometimes it'd be me, him, and my little sister hanging out. It was just us because the older ones had their own things going on. My middle sister had college and she left the college and was never really around anyways. So it is always me, my little sister, and then my little brother. And because my little sister was a girl, she had her own group of friends and doing girl stuff. Most of the time, it was just me and my little brother. He had his friends too, but most of the times he would want to tag along with me and my friends, and so that's kind of what it turned out to be. Most of the times, it was me, my friends, and my little brother. I mean, everyone in the neighborhood knew us. We had Stelly and Peanut that lived across the street. Anytime I'd hang out with them, who would tag along? My little brother. Um, my cousin Chaya. If it was me and him hanging out, most of the times who would tag along would be my little brother. You know, and I mean, it started off in Long Beach. That's where he was born, but we didn't really spend that much time here until we moved back here. So this was all in Bakersfield, and in Bakersfield, it could get hot, but it didn't matter to us. We were always out in the streets, no matter how hot it was. There was just like so many times where it was me and him and his group of friends, or me and some of my friends, and him and maybe a couple of his friends too. We kind of ran that town in a little bit of ways. I just remember like summer nights, just like 4 or 5 of us on skateboards just roaming the town from my house to the park, from the park back to my house to grab something to eat, and then to the movie theaters or something. And it was just a bunch of us on skateboards running the streets. And then as soon as I was able to drive and get a car and everything, It was everybody, me, my little brother, and anyone else who was wanting to hang out in my car, just roaming the town. We didn't have to stick to the block anymore. We were just everywhere in the town. And those were good times. Those were young times. We didn't get too crazy then. And we had our parties where it did get kind of crazy. Like, and when I say parties, these were kind of like legendary parties for the town at least, because there was no one else throwing like big house ragers like we were. I mean, there was people throwing like big event parties at other places and stuff like that. But when it came to like house ragers and stuff like that, I think we kind of baked the cake on that one, or made the cake. I don't know how. What's the saying? I don't know. We took the cake on that one. There you go. I mean, there's a few people out there that will probably still, if you say, "Hey, do you remember this person and this house party?" They'd be like, "Oh yeah, dude, that was crazy. That was a crazy one." But that was us in Bakersfield. And that was us in our early teenage years. I mean, tell you what, he was kind of a kid still. I mean, but like when we were doing crazy things, like he was a young teenager. And even still then I was looking out for him, making sure that he didn't get too crazy or no one was getting crazy with him. I think he was even there when I got into my first big fight at a field party. And even still then I was like, I would remember yelling at him like, "Get in the car," so that he wouldn't be a part of the fight and stuff like that. And it's always been like that. And then it came to the time where my whole family decided to move back here to Long Beach, and they didn't tell me anything about it. They told me like they gave me like a few days notice. They're like, "Hey, we're moving. What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." I mean, I stayed there in Long Beach, or not. I stayed there in Bakersfield for a little bit. I had a friend who was down to become a roommate with me, and we rented out a little apartment together. And even then, I gave like an open door policy to my little brother. I'm like, "Hey, man, I know like all your friends are here and stuff like that. So at any time that you want to come and visit, you always got a place to stay. Like I gave him, I gave him that. I was like, anytime you want to come and visit, you can always come and stay at my pad." And he did. He came and stayed for a while. Just I know that I'm pretty sure I know for a fact that he would just wasn't um because for one thing he didn't know one here, he didn't know anyone here yet, and he was just being by himself. I could see him getting into trouble just by himself. So yeah, like he had, like when they moved, they had every like all my sisters were college. My oldest had a job, that so she had her own place and a job because she had a kid too. My nephew Alex, and I had a job and was going to college here in Bakersfield, or there in Bakersfield at that time. And so he was by himself, and that kind of broke my heart a little bit because when bad stuff happened to him, or if I thought it would affect him in a way that would make him sad, it would make me sad. So I let him know that, hey, at any time you want to come, just visit, you can just stay with me. And then at one point I remember, um, I didn't know how to fix my car at one point, so I called my mom to see if she could help out. And the thing, and what turned out to be was it was so an easy fix. Like it was just replacing a part, and and that's what it was. And the part turned out to be really cheap at that time. I didn't know about that, but my back was against the wall because my car was kind of my only mode of transportation at that time, and I had jobs that were kind of far away that needed me to be at a certain distance at a certain time, and the only way to do that was with a car, right? So, um, I called my mom for help, but instead of her just like, "Hey, do this," or here's just a couple of bucks and fix it. The thing was too, like I had enough money myself to do it. I just didn't know that it was that cheap. So she was like, "Hey, your little brother's getting into a bit of trouble. Would you be down to move with us to Long Beach and help watch him? And then there's also a job lined up for you here too." So I took it. I took it. I was like, "Yeah, dude. I mean, anything. You know, like, I, you know." In my head, I was like, I need to go and watch my little brother. Like, there's no other answer to that. If my brother needs to be, if I need to help watch my little brother, of course I'm gonna go. I mean, plus they had the job lined up for me anyways. So, and the funny thing is like to even get back to even take all my stuff and go there, I had to get my car fixed. So I ended up getting my car fixed. The thing ended up being only $20. $20 and my car was fixed. And yeah, so I fixed my car, took everything, packed it up, told my roommate that, hey, dude, place is all yours, but I'll still pay my rent. Um, so I did. I actually moved and still kept paying rent over there, and I thought that it'd be still both our place, even though he has the whole apartment to himself. He ended up kind of trashing my room up and stuff. In fact, I think he trashed up the whole apartment, and then just ended up leaving and going to the army right after. Just kind of fucked me a little bit, but past is the past. What are you gonna do? Because they gave a little ding on my record. I don't know. Whatever. It happened. That's what it was. But so now it brings us to Long Beach. Me and my little brother living in Long Beach, and he was supposed to be going to high school, and I had my job, but just ended up getting into so much trouble in high school that he kind of stopped going. And with that, I started asking him to come to work with me, even though he's not gonna be doing any work. It's just so that I could keep an eye on him and stuff like that, right? At that point, though, like I was like, I can't really do this by myself, and for some weird reason, I was like, I was having this weird like thing where I was like, I know we grew up with a big family, and because it was just only me and him at that time, I was like, I think this is kind of making him a little sad. So it made me sad once again. Like it was always like symbiotic like that with me and him for some weird reason. But I don't even know if it was affecting him like that or not. It was just all in my head. I was like, I was like, is not being around our whole family making him sad? Because and then I'm like, if he is sad, then it's making me sad. So I was like, I'm gonna need help raising him, and I need to show him you know, how family is, or just have him be around a lot of people, because that's we kind of grew up like that. Even though my parents even though my parents weren't really around most of the times because they were always working and stuff like that, we still had a big family. It was like all the sisters, three sisters, me, and then sometimes my older brother. But my older brother ran away way early in our life, so like he wasn't really there. But I wanted to show him like just keep a big group of people around us and still kind of show him what a family is, kind of in a ways. And so I knew that a few of my friends were living together in like the LA area. So I started making plans to hang out with them after work or and during the weekends and stuff, because I just didn't want it. I just didn't want to just. It was just tough to keep an eye on him and have like good influence just by myself. I don't even know if it was like really good influence, but even still though. But so we started hanging out with the my group of friends that lived together, because they were going to Westwood College at that time, and they all decided to live together, and it turned out to be three of my friends and one of their sisters, Um, it's the David, David Cho, and then Angie, which is David's sister, one of the David's sisters, and it worked out because it turned out even bigger because another one of my friends were still living close there, so he'd end up coming over and hanging out most of the time too, and then we met two other of their friends that started hanging out with us and became our friends too. And so like it was a big group of friends, and we ended up kind of being like family because we'd call each other brothers and brother and sister. And it worked out, and it was like one of the best things, and it was one of the best times that we, growing up together. It was almost like it was one of the best times that we've had. We did almost everything together. We had movie night. We had bonfires. We had Vegas trips. All this, like, a lot of crazy things that happened. A lot of the crazy things that we did. It was always together. House parties, clubbing, um, just living. We did it together, and it was amazing. It was fun, and I could see that he was having fun. We like My little brother was always good at things, and I always, how like when your parents don't support you in certain things. I was like, I even though I'm not his parent, I'm just his older brother, but whatever he was good at, I'd support him in it, and not just even support him in it. I would buy him the thing that he needed to do it. He was good at guitar playing, and a lot of the guys that we were hanging out with were good at guitar too, and they would jam out and stuff like that. So what did I do? I bought my little brother a guitar. I was like, "Here's your own guitar." He was good at skating, and then so anytime he needed a new board, I'd try to buy him a new board if I could. You know, and those were like, I want to say, kind of my most favorite times at that moment. I even remember one time because I was like, well, holidays would happen, holidays would pass, and because my sisters and stuff were one far away, like we didn't have Thanksgiving or Christmas, like as a big family, um, like we used to. And I remember one time, one Thanksgiving, I was telling my mom, and my mom felt bad for us. So on Thanksgiving morning, she woke us up and treated me and my little brother to a Chinese buffet. And I just remember, like, because I was excited for a buffet. I'm always excited for a buffet. I love food. I mean, I can't eat much of it now, but I still have a love for food. So I was excited, and I remember just seeing how happy he was that we were at a buffet together, and just me, my brother, and my mom enjoying this abundance of Chinese food. So that made me feel good. And so I remember one time when we were all hanging out. It wasn't even nowhere near like holiday season. It wasn't November. It was like deep in the summer. And I was just like, what would be so totally awesome? And then in my head, I knew that would make my brother super happy. As if we just had Thanksgiving dinner, like all of us. We would just, and I know the idea was already made because I know that I got the idea from seeing like some show or whatever. I don't know, but it's like, what if we have Friendsgiving? Like, I know it's the middle of the summer. I know it's nowhere near holiday season yet, but we could buy a turkey. We could do, you know, we could. Everything was still available to get, and we could just cook Thanksgiving dinner and we could all have it together. And I talked them all into doing it. And they all like, I think they all kind of like, were down for it, except for one. I remember the homie Cho, like he, for some reason, he never really celebrated Thanksgiving, so he didn't know what it was all about. And so like instead of like just, you know, joining us, he was like doing his own thing, and like he made spam. Like we all made fun of him and stuff like that. But like, still though, he was still there and we was still having a good time and it was still fun. Like we even like, you know, started in the we started in the morning. We got turkey ready. We started cooking the turkey. We all had our own things to make. Like so one guy made the mashed potatoes, one guy made the macaroni and cheese, and this one guy made the stuffing. And we all helped with the turkey and stuff like that. And whoever was coming over would just bring something to contribute. And of course, like we bought a bunch of beer and alcohol and stuff like that. And it was a big thing, and it was an amazing thing. I still remember it to this day, like vividly, and it was just awesome. And I knew that it made my brother happy because it was like, and it was because until then we were just like, it was just me and him during the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. It was just me and him. So it felt good to do that. And it felt good to see everyone smiling and laughing, and especially seeing him laughing and smiling too. And then I mean, even like the crazy nights where we just like, hey, let's just hop into the car, let's go, you know, grab some wood and go to the beach somewhere and just start a fire and hang out. Those were awesome nights. And then to make it even like, those were the times where we were just spontaneous. We did whatever came to mind. We were just like, let's do it. We'd egg each other on to see like if we were down to do it or not, and we just end up doing it. I To this day I remember us going to this diner. Like the weekend was almost over. We went to this diner. I mean, we were all sitting there, me, my brother, and a few of our friends, and we were getting our meal and we're eating, and we were just like, what would be crazy is if we hopped in the car and went to Vegas right now. And I remember all of us just going, "You're not down," and then saying, "Yes, fuck yeah, I'm down." "You're not down," and then everyone would just go in a circle like that, like, "Yeah, I'm down." "You're not down," and it kept on going and going until at the end of it, we were like, "Let's pay our bill, hop in the car, and let's go." And we just end up going to Las Vegas for a one nighter too. Is a crazy thing. We only went there for we left at night. We got there in the morning, got our room, went to sleep, woke up, did our thing, and then um, went back to sleep at the hotel. Woke up and went back home. But in that trip though, this is probably one of the craziest things that I remember. Um, we loved our, like I said, we loved our buffet. So one of the first things we did, in fact, I think that was the first thing we did when we got there. We found the most nastiest buffet that there was because it was the only one that was left open. I think it was called like the surf buffet or something like that. And we got there and it had buffet. It was like the worst thing to do. We just got done eating. We hopped in the car. We got there and we're like, by the time we got there, let's eat again, but eat all we could eat as much as we could eat. So we got buffet as soon as we got there. But I remember on that trip, we were walking around from casino to casino. And in one of the casinos, I thought I saw Rick Thorne, which is like, At that time, he was like a famous pro BMXer. And so I followed him thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go ask him for a picture or an autograph or something like that, right? But um, I don't know, like I was too nervous to go ask him for it or whatever. So I remember I was following him, and then I saw him turn around at me, and I got kind of scared. So I turned around and looked at this uh, slot machine, and I was like, you know what, screw it, you know, because I had to walk so far away from my friends at that time. So I was like, screw it. So I took out some money and I stuck it into the slot machine, and I won big money. I think I won like $600 or something like that. And so like I cashed out, and the first thing I did with my money was I found my little brother, and I was like, here's $200. You know, give look even then, just looking out for him, making sure that he was okay. Because the thing about it was like I don't think he was even 21 at that time. We just brought him along because like why not show him Vegas? It doesn't matter. We were rebels too. Like we would, even though he wasn't 21, we would have him hang out with us on the casino floor for as long as we could until we noticed someone like watching us, and then we'd leave before they'd even ask us to like look at ID and stuff like that. And of course, we took him back when he was 21. Like I want to say we took him on his 21st birthday. I'm not sure if we did or not. I want to say we did though, because I know we went there a few times for a few of our birthdays. And like we went for my birthday. We went when we did the whole thing just out of a whim. We went when it was one of our other friends' birthday. I forget, but I know we went there a few times. And I think that's kind of where his love for Vegas kind of grew too. I mean, it was just like the memories of. I mean, I don't know. I can't say for sure, but we did it a lot, and it was always a good time when we did it. So, and I know that he really liked going to Vegas. So I'm pretty sure that's kind of where it came from. And I know that it was kind of nostalgic for us too because our parents took us there when we were little. I mean, that's kind of the only reason why I even know about Vegas is because my parents used to love going there, and they would take us as kid and just throw us at Circus and told us to stay upstairs while they were gambling downstairs. So it was always a good time though, and that's why and that's why I have love for David, both Davids and Angie, because they were like like they were my brothers, and Angie was like my older sister, and they were there, you know, while we were while we had kind of no one else around to watch us or help us or to look up to at the time because we didn't know anyone in town yet. They were there, you know. The homie Pete, even though Pete kind of lost his way, and he's he's still the homie though. He found his way. I believe he's doing good now, but he's all the way in like I want to say he's like all the way over there in North Carolina now or something like that. But yeah, it's like David, Angie, Cho, Pete, Kang, someone else I forget. Someone else. Sorry that I forget your name. It's kind of weak too because like yeah, he was the homie. But I have much love for them. And that was the person that I was surprised to see at the funeral was Dave. The thing was David got married the weekend right before the funeral. And I didn't want to like put bad juju on his wedding to tell him that hey, my brother died. I was kind of like dilemma, like I don't. It's his wedding. I don't want to tell him that my brother died at his wedding. But it was good to see him and David and Angie, and I didn't even know David had a baby yet, and him and his wife came with his little kid. He has a daughter, and she's like, a young toddler now, dude. That's crazy. I didn't even know he had a kid yet. That's crazy. But I was surprised and happy to see him at the same time. And I have much love for them because those, those group of people helped me raise my little brother. Some of the, it was some of the best times that we've had. And then it came to a point where my parents were like tired of him not doing anything. So they were about to give him an ultimatum to go to the military. But me and my sister came up with the idea because at that time I started going back to college. So me and my sister like were like, we'll give him the option of army too or military too, but like just see if he's down to go to school with me, because it was kind of easy to get into my school, and that school was kind of easy, and I know he was kind of into art too because like me growing up, I was into like graffiti art and stuff like that, and I know he was into that kind of stuff too, and I translated into graphic design and stuff like that pretty easily. So I was like, he'll like it. He'll probably like it. And so it was kind of a good thing that me and my older sister was like, so we had to give him the option. We told him like, hey, you can either, apply and go start going to school with me, or you go to the military. And of course, knowing him and knowing like the mentality that he has, I knew he was gonna, I knew he was gonna pick going to school with me because I mean, it sounded like more of the fun thing to do, and that's kind of like what we're into. Like we're just into having fun. And it was rough too giving him that ultimatum because of what he was going through at that time. I mean, because I know the reason why he was like not doing anything and kind of just like wasting away for a little bit there was because um his high school sweetheart at that time, the girl that he was like talking to at that time, she had just passed away in an accident, and that ate away at him. And at that time, I did all that I could do to kind of like help him get through it. But me not knowing how to like help someone through a certain situation like that, I didn't know how to do it. I don't know if what I was doing was correct or not, but I did everything that I could. I took him trips back to Bakersfield to see like his old friends and stuff like that, you know. Um, I we took trips to hang out with the Davids and Angie as much as we could, so he could keep his mind off of it. Um, we did. I tried to keep him busy, just so that he could get through it. But I don't know if I was doing the right thing. I don't know if it even helped him or not. I even remember one of the times when we took our trip to Bakersfield, and I know that for a fact that on the way back out we'd have to pass by the cemetery that his high school sweetheart at the time where she was buried. And I remember asking him like, "Hey, if you want, I could stop by there and you could like, do what you need to do." But he shot down that, like he denied it. He didn't want to. So I was like, "All right, it's cool." So we didn't. But I remember him having a really hard time at that time. So I didn't know how he was going to take it, us giving him this ultimatum. But luckily, he agreed to go to school with me. And I think that's like one of the best things that happened to him, too. Like, it was like without that choice, without that happening, like the turn for his life wouldn't have been the way it was, because I felt like he was in the right direction. And it's just the way his, what his certain ideology or ideologies just didn't help him, but he was still going in the right direction. Because when we started going to school together, that's when we started making friends here. So when we started meeting the people that we know here. So when we started getting into going to shows and certain parts that end up being a part of us now. That's where he met, you know, his lady now. His lady. That's where he met Amanda. Like, if he didn't go to school, he would have never met Amanda. And they would have never gotten together. And then, I think Amanda is what helped him kind of head in the right direction. So it was cool. We met Johnny and Johnny, and that's where we kind of met everybody. That's when we met them, we got into that's when we got into the whole metal hardcore scene. We started going to shows. And I know at the funeral we were giving away these EMF shirts, and there was a lot of people wearing it. And if you don't know, the whole thing about EMF is, and it ties in too, because because we didn't have our family around us the whole time. It was one of the reasons why we started this whole thing, or at least in my head, that's what it was. Because stands for Embrace Mosh Family. Emphasis on the family. I know there's a few people that says it differently, but it's not what I called it. For me, it was always Embrace Mosh Family. And the thing was, is when we were in the scene, when we started going to the scene, there was the big crews of people who they go and mosh and stuff like that, and we're like, hey, how come they're part of the crew? How do you become part of the crew? And then we find out yeah, not everyone gets to be part of the crew, blah blah blah. And we're like, well, whatever. We'll just start our own. And so we started our own crew. It was whoever was friends with us and whoever was into the hardcore metal scene, whoever wanted to mosh. We're like, hey, if you want to be a part of the crew, just hang out with us. You could be part of the crew and we just watch our backs. We watch your backs, and let's just go to shows together. And for some weird reason, this is where my brother shined. Even though he was good at skateboarding, I didn't, to this day, don't really know why he kind of stopped skating. And he was good at playing guitar, and I don't know why he didn't just play guitar and become part of the band. Even though I kind of pushed him, and maybe it was because it was me pushing him towards that he didn't want to do it. I don't know, but because even though I bought him a guitar because I know he was good at guitar, he ended up selling the guitar for money. But he shined in the pit. Like, he loved going to shows. He loved seeing everyone that was part of the crew meet up together, and drive. We'd show up at the shows just singing and the funny. That's one of the funny things, and it's one of the things that I loved and I remembered was that we'd all pile into my car, and there would be a bunch of us, just a bunch of us, packed into one CRV, and we'd be blasting Enrique Iglesias or Whitney Houston or NSYNC or Backstreet Boys or whatever it was that was kind of cheesy and lame at that time. We'd be blasting it full blast and singing along and just driving up to the show where there's a bunch of metalheads or hardcore kids out there and they would see this car rolling up singing to these cheesy songs, and we never got flack for it at all. In fact, we had people come and join us, they hear it and see it and they know us, and they would all just run up and they would just start hanging out and singing along too, it was good times. But But he loved it, and he loved the idea of it. And I remember we made shirts, and he was hyped that we made shirts, and everything like that. That's kind of one of the reasons why we did the shirts for his funeral. Because I mean, that was one of the things that he loved, and he still loved to this day. Was the music scene, and it was a. I just wanted people to know what that meant too. If you're wearing that shirt, know that it meant a lot to him, and that it means a lot to me. I mean, it's tough because not only him, but baby Joel died like the year before. And that's two members of the crew that's gone now, which kind of sucks, but what are you going to do? But, and so that's that generation, and we met a lot of good friends at that time from like the Paramount guys, the Compton guys, um, the Huntington Park guys, the FE fellas, the FE family over there. And I know we had a few haters and enemies and stuff like that, but I mean, even still, then like in the beginning, they were friends too. Like I remember in the beginning of the whole scene, we were friends with this town, Downey. Like we'd go to shows and they'd have our backs, we'd have their backs until like something happened and it all went to shit and they hated us ever since. But I don't know. That's just back in the day beefs. Hopefully everyone's already over it now. Like who really cares? It's just cities, yeah, fellas. But it was cool though. It was cool like seeing it grow. Like people, a lot of other cities loved us. We had people, like I said, we had we had people in Newport to Compton to Huntington Park to L.A. to Hollywood that loved us. Even all the way from New York too. Like people from New York loved us. If they were traveling here with the band or whatever, they would always be homies when they were around here. And so it meant, and that's what that shirt meant. And if you're wearing it and you don't know, then now you know. It meant a lot. He loved that shit. And those are like kind of a few things that he loved. Like he loved skateboarding. I know that he liked breakdancing too, even though he never even did it. And I was the one in the breakdancing scene, but he loved watching breakdancing videos, and then he loved the hardcore scene, and he loved art. Like those were one of the craziest things that we did. We, like I said, we were spontaneous at our younger age. I remember like one time during while we were going to school, we went to an art show out of nowhere, and it was another one of those things where we just egged each other on until we're like, yeah, I'm down, yeah, I'm down. But the art show was about to end, and we were like, hey, let's call up Clint. And Clint was one of the homies that was still living in Bakersfield, and we're like, let's just call up Clint and say we're gonna show up. And this was like almost late at night already because the art show was almost done, and we were a little bit tipsy too, which is kind of dangerous, but whatever. Young, youngsters. This is what we do. And we're like, we're coming, and we all like we're cool about it. Like, I remember calling Clint, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna show up, and we all hopped into my car and we started driving to Bakersfield, and we showed up at his house for no reason at all, just to hang out, and then we hung out for a little bit, went to sleep, woke up, and then we drove back home. And that's just how it was. And I think, to tell you the truth, I think what it was we just loved car rides, maybe. Because there was something about us, me and my brother, being in a car, blasting music, singing along, which was like one of the things. And of course, I'd always be driving because the dude never ever got his driver's license. I I just remember bugging him a whole bunch of times of he should get his driver license, but he just never did. But what are you gonna do, you know? And yeah, and so we like and yeah, so we had by that time we knew people here, we were more comfortable here, and he had his lady and everything like that, and so like they even got like their own little dog and stuff like that, Gizmo. Rest in peace as well, Gizmo. And everything looked good. It was like going well, right? Because by that time, like our whole family started visiting more often. So like holidays, they would be here, and he was happy about that. You know, like he got the real family back. You know, and then so he started looking more forward to that, focusing more on that. And so anytime that he even got to be able to spend time with, the actual family, he would be hyped and ready for that and stuff like that. And because he got along with them better than I did, anyways. He was into sports, and I never really got into it. I tried to get into it a little bit, but it just wasn't my thing. I'm more of the nerdy one of the family. I'm into all the nerdy stuff. You talk to me about comic books. You talk to me about Star Wars. You talk to me about video games. I'm all about it. You talk to me about basketball or football. I don't care. My brain shuts off if you do that. Like, I just don't. I'm just not into it. But he was, gambling, drinking, having a good time, um, going to shows, sporting events, and stuff like that. He loved that shit. And he was hyped about the family getting back, like finally being back together at any time. But I guess the one thing was that he'd always let his ego get in the way. And I didn't know this. I mean, I only know this because I was told this, but like he was embarrassed about him having his heart attacks. And I guess because he had more than one heart attack. And that's what's kind of surprised me, because I thought I showed him that you shouldn't be embarrassed about anything. Because anytime, and maybe that's what kind of drove him to that mentality. And if it was, sorry for that. Because maybe me being like kind of shameless is what gave him shame about his, because he felt like he didn't want people to know that he had health issues and stuff like that. But instead of like putting him down for that, I want to turn it into a positive. You know? So if you're ever like having health issues, or you're feeling bad, don't ignore it. Don't hide it from people. Let people know. Go to go to the doctors if you feel it, if you feel sick, if you feel bad, or if you're hurting and stuff like that. There's no shame in trying to be healthy. You know, and I thought he would. Like, I don't know. In my head, I thought he was doing that, but I guess turns out he wasn't. He was ignoring it because he didn't want people to know that he was sick. But we were seeing it too. But he kept on telling us that he was all right, because everything seemed fine for the longest. Even though I know I didn't see him like through the whole like 2020, because the whole pandemic and stuff like that. But then like my nephew's birthday and then Thanksgiving, that's the last few times that we saw each other. He looked fine to me then, and he didn't say anything to me about his health problems. So I thought everything was good. And it didn't happen until Christmas, when everyone was together for Christmas, and he showed up and he was looking bad, and we were asking him if he's good, and he assured all of us that he was good when he totally wasn't. And then 3 days after, or a few days after, I want to say it was 3 days after, I get a message. He just had a heart attack. But they took him to the hospital, and that he's in stable condition for now. Stable my ass. They forgot to tell us that his brain didn't have oxygen for like a certain amount of time, and then there's no coming back from it, right? But even still, though, like all I could think about is the good times. Like I remember back before he met Amanda, we, we and this was like before we knew anybody still, but we would always take trips almost every weekend, or yeah, almost every weekend, because it would be like the days that I didn't work, but every weekend we would take trips out to Venice Beach late at night, and we would skate Venice Beach. Like we owned the town Venice Beach. Like we didn't own the town really, but like we weren't scared of anybody because we had each other, and we were skating, like we were just skating anything that we could skate there. But I remember like one night we were skating around, and we stopped skating because we were walking now, and we were walking towards the one of the boardwalks, because we didn't never we saw this boardwalk, which wasn't the like it wasn't the Santa Monica boardwalk, it was the Venice Beach boardwalk, and we were like, we've never been there, let's walk over there. And so we started walking, and then out of nowhere, this random girl just runs up to my brother, tackles him, sits on top of him, and was and just like, from what he said, she said that, hey, you're cute, and then she got up and just walked away. Um, only to my little brother, dude. Shit like that only happens to my little brother, dude. But yeah, and his birthday is coming up next weekend. I kind of want to do something special for that. I don't know yet though. I don't know what. I'll probably take a little bit from the Buddhist ways and do something in that sense. But I'm probably gonna lay out a little something for him. Because the thing is that I don't. It's not. I mean, like, yes, I'm gonna miss him, but like, not like that, because we really weren't hanging out like that towards the end, towards the ending. But I'm more gonna miss him. Like, I'm never gonna be able to tell him the things that we talked about when we come together. Because, like I said, I put these things into my memory bank so that when we do get together, we're like, hey man, you know about this new video game coming out, or have you seen this show? And that was always our thing. Have you eaten at this new restaurant that opened up? Have you tried this new thing that came out? Like, oh, this thing's delicious. You need to try this, or you need to watch this show. This show is dope. Or have you seen the trailer for this movie yet? And stuff like that. Like it was that was always like, that's the way we do things. And it sucks that we're never gonna have that again. Because the thing is like, I still take things and put it into my memory bank like that, thinking that that's gonna happen again. But you know, it's not. And I want to also, like, special love goes out to the homie Mark. I know you just got out of the hospital from having a surgery, dude. It's good to see you're doing better, man. And Mark used to be one of the guys that Thra, my little brother, looked up to and always looked forward to seeing. And anytime we were able to do a trip to Bakersfield, he was always hyped because he knew that we get to hang out with Mark and Clint and stuff like that. And I remember, or I just know that during his passing, Mark wrote a very special thing, and I just remember reading it and just breaking into tears. But special love and thanks goes out to him for the Bakersfield crew showing up to his funeral and stuff too. And, you know, the cousins and stuff that showed up. And with that, I think I'm probably going to end there. So, to you, Thra, I'm going to miss you, bro. I want to say that I love you, man. And wherever you are, wherever you end up in the afterlife, dude, I hope you're having a good time. And whoever's there, dude, looks after you like I would try to look after you. I love you, and I'm going to miss you, bro. And that's that for this I would say episode, but for this special edition of this video or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's it. Remember, I'll have another video coming out, the podcast. I'm gonna try to do one, if not this week, next week. I don't know. But with that said, thanks for going through this with me. I don't know if I feel whole yet. I think once after his birthday, after I do whatever I do for his birthday, I think that'll be it. I'll feel better about everything. But I just felt like I felt like telling this story because I felt like it needed to be told. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it and just put it out without having to really talk about it. The thing is, and here's the thing is, I don't have a feeling or need to talk to anybody, but I just need someone to listen. Or just, yeah, so not even listen. I just wanted to tell this story. And because I just wanted to tell the stories. And I wanted the stories to be out there. I don't care who hears it. I don't care who listens to it. But I just wanted to say it. And so that's it. That's been said. It's been said. It's been done. It's going to live forever. And with that, I think I'll just say goodbye there. We'll just end it there. Thanks to everyone who even went through this whole video with me. But we'll see you guys later.